Certainly can't use pens.
Obviously.
Not work. I'm sorry, my table's so dirty. Should I clean it during the podcast?
No, it's real life.
Can I just listen to it and then start talking?
I'm listening to the music. Hello? Is that it? Okay.
And action.
Welcome to the No Pants Sidepony experience. That was our weird introduction. For those of you that were expecting something a little bit more professional, you've come to the wrong place.
We're not that professional, but we have a good time.
Yeah. I mean, we're supposed to just play it off like, what? It's fine. We have a list of things we want to get to on this show in particular, but for the timeline's sake, the Open has just ended, and the world is still here. Life is still going on.
Life continues.
It seemed to be like all-encompassing, but actually we've all survived. And so now we're in that weird space of the CrossFit New Year where it's like, what do we do with our lives? How do we move forward after all of this painful self-evaluation and testing? And some of us are in a brighter place. How do you feel?
I'm sad that I didn't get to do it.
Yeah, fair.
With the back injury, I fully planned on doing the Open a couple weeks before the Open started, and then 2 weeks before the Open started, I found out I was not doing the Open. So I'm sad.
Yeah.
But I'm over it now. I got over it like about halfway through the Open. I was like, reality hit. I was cool with it, and then moving on, focusing for next year. But it still kind of sucks.
Yeah, I think that most people that have had to sit this one out, or I know some friends that were on the fence between scaled and RX, and they felt like, well, I had to go scaled now and not change my whole year's plan. Okay, and then you move through it.
Move on, and then the next thing happens, and
exactly,
life continues.
Yeah, training's continuing. Hopefully, people took a little bit of time to just find the fun in it again and not be so stressed out from Thursday night until Monday night.
And that's what you're focusing on, right?
Yeah.
How is your training different, like mentally?
So
about it differently?
I think for me it became less fun leading up to the Open. The Open itself, I didn't get to have as much fun in the competing side. I really enjoyed the camaraderie and the community side of it, but
of the actual Open.
Of the Open, yeah, I love that part of it. But the actual performance part was pretty mentally taxing. So I think the cool thing is you get a chance to reassess, see how the training went in the past, and based on your results and reaching your goals, how do you want to move forward? And it's a good time to set new goals, or like I said, reevaluate some of the previous ones you've had. So for me, a big one was wanting to train with friends more, have fun, make it less pressure. I don't want to say less intense, because that word is closely tied to the program of CrossFit. I want it to be intense. I just don't want it to be so like mentally taxing and weighing on me.
More positive.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So that's a big place for me to move mindset wise from, oh my God, I have to perform, to cool, let's just have fun at the gym. Let's laugh, let's get the work done, and obviously chit chat along the way. We do plenty of that, but really just enjoy being with your friends.
So what's the point of your training if it's not for the Open now? So before, training was for the Open, and then for the people that made it to regionals, now training is for regionals. But what about us that aren't training for regionals now?
Yeah.
Like what's the point of working out?
I know, isn't it? Yeah, why are you even bothering? You didn't do the Open.
So I need a goal. I always need to train for something, and since my back is super limiting with what I can do, Jesse Burdick had a great idea that why don't I just focus on what I can do and do bench press and compete in powerlifting bench press. So now I have a goal of, like, I hit a certain number the last powerlifting competition, and now I want to beat that next one. Huh?
What was that number?
What was that number?
It was like 182.
Oh,
I think it was 182.
They say it in kilograms. She had no idea what she was lifting. She crushed 182. I was standing there watching it easily, but being that you opened at a more conservative number, your third attempt at 182 being as easy it was like, great. She crushed all three lifts, easy peasy. Next time you'll open at a little bit higher. First ever powerlifting meet, I think it was smart.
I had no idea what I could even lift. I don't know what my max is. My coach didn't tell me what was on the bar at any time. He's just like, go and lift this, and then cool, it felt light. Cool, we're gonna go a little bit heavier, but it was just fun, and it was cool to do something that was just fun.
Yeah.
But it was still competitive. I still got nervous.
Oh,
I
yeah.
still wanted to do as good as I could, but it wasn't like my whole life was going to collapse if I didn't perform and have a certain result. Which is kind of how CrossFit feels like for me, having the goal of I want to make it back to the games. If I don't make it back to the games, I'm a failure, and I just wasted a whole year or whatever.
Absolutely.
So it's fun to train for fun sometimes.
It's so much better. I wish I could say that to all my clients. I know I talked with my clients evaluating after the Open. Some of them are moving forward to qualifiers. Others are going to be done now with the Open being the end of their season. And so we have to kind of see, all right, where do we get in relation to the goals you had set? And then now what do you want?
Yeah.
Why are you training now? Let's set up something fun. I have one client that's going to do her first competition tomorrow. I mean,
That's
we had
awesome.
planned intentionally. She did the Open RX, but this was her first ever time doing it, so we weren't shooting for regionals. We were just shooting for completing each workout, and having something in the horizon near is it was in the horizon when we started the Open, and now it's here that she gets to compete, and I think that's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
So setting up stuff like that, I think I'd like to do some local things with friends, whether a bunch of us go join a competition as individuals or we decide to team up or partner up. I think that could be really fun. Doing things outside of CrossFit, powerlifting, Olympic lifting. Shit, you can go do a 5K run, whatever people want to do, just get out and enjoy.
Being competitive in different sports, and I mean everything is kind of a part of CrossFit. CrossFit's taken so many different sports and combined it as one. So working on a different sport is only going to make your CrossFit better.
Yeah, exactly. So I think another big part of this, I guess you could call it an off season, if you really use the Open as a kind of a start of your competitive training year. You can use this time to reevaluate your movement and assess any injuries or even just nagging hurts that are around.
Things you've been just kind of pushing under the rug.
Yeah, exactly.
To get through.
Now's the time to go to the doctor, get the
MRI,
get the X-ray, get the assessment, figure out what you need to do to heal, and start being active in that process.
And making it a priority.
Yeah, it cannot be pushed aside anymore. Like we were just talking about, if you have poor mechanics, this is the time to fix them.
Yeah.
If you are not taking your recovery seriously, this is the chance. This is the chance to make it a priority. And I know for myself, towards end of the Open, everything was tightening up and my back's tied up. Oh, and it's okay, now it's over. If I went right back to normal training, I'd be in a lot of pain. So I'm trying to figure out whatever started causing that and kind of working backwards, start adding things in from there. You're still healing from yours, so you're trying to find how to make it a permanent fix and not just kind of
temporary to get through the next event.
Put a Band-Aid on it just to survive the Open, which I know a lot of people have done. So if you were just shooting up cortisone or whatever, is that what you call it?
Yes.
Yeah. Then now's the time to figure out what's actually going on there. Yeah.
So what are you doing for your aches and pains, and what are your aches and pains and minor injuries, major injuries?
I think I'm getting tight in the back just due to tight hips and things like that. So for me, I work on a lot of hip mobility and quad mobility. A lot of the training that we've been doing has been focusing a lot on the posterior chain and all of
that's your butt stuff.
Strengthening, exactly. Strengthening and kind of activating, really. If you're not able to use it, then your other parts of your body are compensating.
Right. So that's what happened to me. So my whole life I was very quad dominant as a gymnast, always tumbling on my toes. My heels were never even touching the floor. So I've found out that after my first 2 years of CrossFit, I've never once felt my hamstrings or my glutes activate. It wasn't even a thing that I could, there was no way for me to do a movement and be oh yeah, I felt my butt working during that. And my back became so strong, but it overcompensated so much. Every time I pulled a snatch or a clean off of the floor, I was pulling with my back as opposed to my hamstrings and glutes. Over time, I mean, my back's done now.
Yeah.
So now it's time to, even if it seems like a super simple movement, for the first time in my whole life, I can actually lift my leg or, lower the bar down to my knees and feel my hamstrings and glutes working. And so that's like huge for me.
Oh yeah, that's
Huge.
major.
So
That's
for
like the
me,
activating of areas
Yeah.
that people, I think a lot of people are that way with their lats.
Yeah.
I've had clients before just feel like, I don't know how to turn on my
So
lats.
it doesn't
It's a
have to be
big
heavy
deal.
weight. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be anything crazy. Just a matter of feeling those muscles working and firing, even if it's for a couple moments at a time, is huge, and that can completely transform your season and your real lifts, your snatch, your clean, or your handstand push-ups if you're not activating your lats or
Yeah.
anything.
Absolutely. So basically, if it's something simple, not simple, but you can target a specific area that is not helping, that you can strengthen, you can move outside of the realm of just traditional CrossFit and do a lot of what we've been doing, which is almost more isolation work,
It's like bodybuilding too.
type of stuff. Yeah, and really hammer that until you can say without a doubt that which muscle group is working. And that is a means to an end of getting back to the full picture. We're not trying to train the pieces and still get the composite result. We're just trying to find that activation or get those muscles to relearn how to move,
Right.
different
And if you
extension or flexion.
Can't do that in a controlled movement. How are you expecting to be able to do it during high rep snatches or high rep butterfly pull-ups? Like,
Exactly.
You have to pull it all apart, work on it, get it down with tempo, lighter weights, figure that out before you can just throw it in a CrossFit workout.
Yeah, and I think another thing that a lot of people mistake as injury, or it's manifested as injury, is that they just have poor mechanics. So they're not doing the movement properly. So in Alex's case, she was doing the movement correctly, but the wrong muscles were doing the majority of the work. So the big muscles weren't, and so the smaller muscles or the non-dominant in that movement were taking over. So it
So
wasn't
it looked okay when you looked
right.
at it.
So you were moving the bar or the object the correct way, right? Pull up same, etc. But other body parts were compensating. So the opposite would be that you're doing it incorrectly. You were taught incorrectly, or you have a bad habit that you've never broken it down, and you need to strip it back, strip down the weight, strip the movement back to basics, and learn it correctly. And that might be with a in-house coach. It might mean you need to go find a specialist. It might mean you need to watch some videos and do some homework on your own, but this is the time to do it.
Yeah.
Fixing those now means you can build that foundation on something strong, and you're not going to be in the same place you are now with a shaky foundation, injuries, weaknesses or plateaus. So that's a biggie to kind of look at where you didn't meet expectations of your own self expectations. Check and see what was really going on there. And I think that before you're like, well, my next goal is I'm going to win the games. Like, well, you've got to do a lot of goals before that.
Right.
When you're reassessing. I think it's really easy to skip to the more sexy goals. It's like, oh, cool, I completed my first Open RX. Next year, I'm going to go to regionals. Like, that's a really big jump.
Yeah.
Not saying it's not possible, but you need to start looking at what has to fall into place before that and set some of those shorter term goals. Like, I'm going to learn to do a muscle up or whatever. It's
Correctly, right?
Yeah.
And not just a chicken wing. Because it's a quick fix and it's a quick way to get a muscle up.
Don't forget that piece, that there's all those athletes that are at the top tier have a strong foundation.
And the ones that stay up there, it's because they've done it right.
Yes,
They
absolutely.
have that strong foundation.
Yeah. So moving kind of forward as well, I think for myself, whenever I take a break from the athletic side, I get to focus a lot more on the business side or the professional side as a coach. And that's where I usually don't have as much time when my training takes up a majority of the day. So now that it's not taking up as much time, I can think about, I'm going to be taking on some more seminars. We've talked about how both of us like doing seminars. I work with the CrossFit seminar staff. You do your own seminars all over the country. And just being able to reach more people. So the podcast, forcing ourselves to get in here and hang out, it's not that hard. We just need to push record like right when you walk in the door, and then we'll get us all on video. But sorry. But yeah, like thinking about getting more information out to people who want it, YouTube or Instagram or whatever people will take really, and kind of push the coaching side of things a little bit more.
And we want to know what you guys want to hear. We want to talk about If you guys have any questions or suggestions for topics, we're totally new to this and we don't know what we're doing. So
Is that obvious?
So if you have any suggestions for things that we should talk about on our podcast or our YouTube channel, any videos that you'd like us to put together, I've had my whole pretty much business came out of people asking me to put together muscle videos, and that turned into me having online clients and going around doing seminars, and it's branched to covering all gymnastics movements, but it just came from someone saying like, hey, you should do a video on how to do a muscle up.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then now I have a whole business over it.
Yeah.
So we want to hear what you guys want to know.
Exactly. We got a chance to go up recently and visit Mark Bell at Super Training. We did their podcast, which was interesting.
That was a special experience.
We did some tutorials there as well. So some of those are reaching the YouTubes as we speak, and some already have. We're talking about doing more of that stuff on our own channel. The running joke the last week since they've been posting has been about the comments, and I'm really stoked to announce that they figured out our secret is that we're doing a lot of drugs, and
Yeah, we are obviously on so many steroids.
Yep, it's clearly
Because you can't build muscle by just working out and eating. That's not science. That is not #science, apparently.
something to remember is just that putting it out there, some people are going to be receptive and take it, and other people are just going to completely destroy it and bash it, and being able to just laugh it off. So that was
when you're
interesting.
making comments, just remember that there's real people reading those comments, and even if it's a joke, like it doesn't always make the person on the receiving end feel like $1,000,000 when
Yeah.
they're told not nice things.
But it's kind of funny. I mean, that's something that that's not the first time I've heard that. I'm sure you've heard that before. People always want a reason to call someone else out. And on, Mark Bell's channel is, dominated or mostly dominated by powerlifters and using steroids or any performance enhancing drug is more common in that sport because it's been around more. First of all, the sport's been around more. I'm not saying it's not common in CrossFit, but it's been around longer. So,
and the whole
there's
sport
more of a
is
history
about
of it.
being as strong as possible.
Right.
And one way to get as strong as possible is to get some.
Right. I would also
drugs.
argue that there's a lot of, very similar to CrossFit, there's a lot of recreational powerlifters who are not necessarily competing, or if they do, it's just at a local meet that might not be in a tested federation. So in that sense, there's no rules. Same goes for CrossFit. Now that it's become a more prevalent sport, the recreational CrossFitter they can do whatever they want in terms of performance enhancing
And they're
drugs.
not going to get dressed.
And they can go to a local throwdown and whatever. Yeah. So I'm not saying that there isn't a parallel there, but being that powerlifting has been around longer, I think it is much easier to call people out because it's already in the beginning or in the forefront of their minds. For me, it's now become a bigger deal watching CrossFitters that so many people start talking about, oh, so-and-so is on something. And it's amazing to me still to this day that people will assume that I've used or am using some sort of a drug with no
So you have to understand that the muscles are built over years. Like our bodies they've been in the making for years. It's not like we started CrossFit as toothpicks.
Yeah,
I had quads.
Befores
the
and
same
afters
size
are
when
a
I
really
started
good
CrossFit.
way to tell. It doesn't always work, but befores and afters. Like you said, when you started,
Or
you were
even
similar.
looking at China Cho, I mean,
Right.
she started with one kind of body, and now, 5 years later
Right.
or whatever,
Has
she looks
transformed
completely
herself.
different.
Right.
But it's not like in 2 weeks she
Yeah,
went
exactly.
shredded.
Exactly. Right.
And we didn't change our bodies overnight.
Nor did mine really change that much.
Right.
That's what cracks me up. I'm like, I pretty much have the same body type I had when I was in college playing volleyball as I do now. I mean, of course there's some changes, but it's not enough to look and be like, oh yeah, that person's on something. But people see CrossFit now as, they see the numbers climbing in terms of strength, and
Because everyone gets better because they have a good foundation, and when you keep doing something and you're training, you're going to get better.
yeah. So
And
they're
people
just
have been
the only
CrossFitting for 7
logical
years.
explanation is drugs.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, some people just work hard and take their diet seriously and train smartly, and then, oh my gosh, results happen. That's crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, it's obviously out there. We're seeing now the testing results coming in, and more athletes are feeling the pressure to perform, so they're going to use drugs. But I mean, I think CrossFit's doing they're doing what they can right now.
I think
There's
people
always-
should know that like we could be drug tested any day
Yeah.
of the year at all times. So certain
Yep.
athletes like at the top level, we could get a phone call that we're getting drug tested at 5 a.m.
Yep. We've
Not
got
everyone is on that list.
our whereabouts have to be accounted for year round. We're putting in, so I don't know if everyone realizes when they say that CrossFit doesn't test, like they do.
Yeah.
It is not yet a perfect system, nor will it ever be, because the sport continues to grow and evolve. So will the drug testing policy. I was drug tested in the 2009 games.
Yeah.
We were drug tested in the 2011 games. The year-round stuff for me started in 2014, I believe,
Yeah.
midway or end through, and I've had to give my whereabouts year-round since then. And I'm not even a top competitor anymore. I'm
Yeah.
not even in the regional, and I'm still giving my whereabouts year-round. So they have, and like you said, that's 24 hours. You can't really
Yeah.
escape it.
And
So
if you're not there for your drug test, you fail.
right. So the people that are being watched, I think, know not to mess
Right.
with this stuff. Those that choose to do it anyway, some are getting caught now. And that's, they may feel that they don't have a choice. I think that's silly. You always have a choice. You
It's
just
your
have to be able to
decision.
live with it.
Yeah, it's your decision if you want to do it or not.
Right.
It's your conscience.
Don't do drugs.
So that's cool.
So maybe like to kind of, we can talk a little bit more about what we've been doing to fill the time at the gym. I think it'd be really fun in the near future to bring in one of our training partners, because she's been jumping in on it. But more importantly, I want to give you and your coach Keegan credit, because you guys started it from the ground up, and you've been doing it before I kind of was like, I want to do what you're doing. And
Hopped on
before
the butt stuff too.
yeah, he hopped on it too. So like, I think just knowing how much we've already been, we're hitting on things that we haven't targeted in forever.
Hitting
We're
on butt stuff.
hitting on the butt stuff, hitting it hard. We're sore.
Sorry, I had
There
to.
it is.
I had to. That's like my fifth one.
We're sore in the butt.
Thanks,
Abs.
Keegan.
No, but abs, like obliques. I think I was joking. Like, I don't think I've used my obliques in like 5 years or something. We were doing like targeted oblique ab stuff at the end, and it was just like, it crushed me for 2 days. This is 2 days later.
Training. That's the
Yeah.
stuff I did in college.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, what was it? Your abs and assets?
Abs and assets
TM.
class. I taught it 5 days a week.
Yeah, and now she's teaching it to Jackie and I. So, I think it would be huge for people that are interested in why we keep hashtagging that and why we keep putting on Instagram, that maybe we'll dig in a little bit more to that.